Welcome back to No Interruptions. I'm Kate, and today we're talking about Pennsylvania's new handy-dandy tools to overcome vaccine hesitancy. So for those of you who don't know, vaccine hesitancy is basically someone who just doesn't want to get the vaccine for whatever reason. It could be because they feel like they haven't done enough research. It could be because they're just uncomfortable with the idea of someone pushing a vaccine on them with very little long-term research. But regardless, as a blanket statement, they're called vaccine hesitant by people who are for the vaccine. So Pennsylvania has this very interesting website called PA Unites Against COVID. And it has all of these different pages. It has one kind of drop-down menu that's about community resources. And within that, there's what they call a COVID resource library, where they have all of these posters about how to deal with people who don't want to take the vaccine, how to talk to them, how to convince them to get the vaccine, which at a glance might not seem like a huge deal, but we're going to take a look at some of these posters and you're going to be entertained, if not frightened.
You are scaring me!
And then decide for ourselves if maybe this is kind of a terrifyingly subtle tactic to get people to take the vaccine. So the first one that we're going to look at was actually sent to me by someone on my team at dailyclout.io, which you can visit below to learn more about vaccine stuff. But this one is titled Motivational Interviewing, speaking with someone who is unsure about getting the COVID-19 vaccine or booster. Here's a 3-step technique to help. Okay, the first part is sample questions. How do you feel about getting the vaccine? What is your understanding of the vaccine? Would it be all right if I shared some information? What are your thoughts on what I shared? Guys, no one talks like this. Number one, if you're trying to make it more accessible for people to use in actual conversations, it might be a good idea to hang out with people and understand that they don't talk like that. So rephrasing might be an option there. Number two, given that the whole point and preface of this style guide even existing is that you're trying to convince them to get the vaccine, then we already know that you don't care what the person is saying. You're just trying to make them feel heard by asking these questions. Seems kind of pointless to me. Okay, the next section is the style guide. So they mentioned the 3-step process, which we're gonna go over here. So step 1 says, practice a guiding style. Use neutral, open-ended questions to develop rapport. Work to understand your patient's position. Emphasize the patient's autonomy. Again, you're just trying to make them feel heard. I mean, I took sales classes back in college, and this is kind of what salespeople do, which is an interesting perspective to go to when you're talking about a vaccine to a friend or family member. You're literally using sales tactics to convince them to get it. Just think about that. Step 2, listen with empathy. Begin by asking what the patient already knows or is interested in knowing. Ask targeted, open-ended questions to learn more. After receiving permission, share concise bits of information. Ask for feedback. Stay as neutral as possible and weigh the pros and cons. So, kind of the same thing, trying to make them feel heard. Basically, they're doing the talking. Step 3, respond mindfully and skillfully. Summarize the discussion. Highlight aspects that favor behavioral change. Collaboratively decide on the patient's next step. Okay. Do you know what this makes me think of? This makes me think of this new version of parenting where, you know, if a kid throws a fit, you sit down and you're like, how are you feeling? Use your words. Why was that wrong? Why aren't you going to do that again? How can we make this better next time?
I promise that we can have a really nice time.
Okay, if someone uses this tactic, I would think that they're being condescending, honestly. It seems to be a style guide that is supposed to help people who know people who don't want to get the vaccine. So that means they're not necessarily family, right? So you could be talking to like a coworker and you're like, you know, I think we should decide together what your medical decisions will be.
We are all in this together.
Like, that's ridiculous. That might be the most ridiculous thing I've heard in like a half hour. Okay, the other part of this that I find interesting is it says summarize the discussion, which, I mean, from the other two steps, it sounds like the person who doesn't want to get the vaccine has been doing all of the talking. But, I mean, if you're slipping in some recycled garbage that you heard off of CNN, maybe you could summarize that at the end. Maybe that would be convincing to some people. But still, the highlight of the section has to be that collaborative part at the end, because it's just the most ridiculous thing ever. Okay, so that was the first kind of poster style guide that I saw on their website. But wait, there's more. So this next one is a couple pages long, but I'm just gonna kind of skim and go over it. The title is How to Talk to Friends and Family About COVID-19 Vaccines. Now, this is similar to the first style guide that we went over because it has, you know, the same kind of headings: listen with empathy, ask open-ended questions, blah, 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 sales tactics. So on page 2, there's a section that says help them find their own reason to get vaccinated. Everyone who chooses to get vaccinated does it for a reason: to protect their family, to protect their friends, their children, to be less anxious, to visit their parents, get back to normal activities, etc. I find this so annoying because, you know, there's a section of like, oh, you know, you're trying to help them understand and find their own reasoning, but really you're just guilt tripping them into getting them to get the vaccine, right? You know, like, they don't have a reason to get it. They don't think it's necessary. They don't think it's been researched enough, whatever the reason is. And you're bringing up all these reasons why they should get vaccinated, and seeing if one of those hits home. Okay, so you're having a conversation with somebody and you're like, oh, you don't want to get vaccinated, so you don't want to protect your family, you don't want to protect your children, you don't want to go back to normal activities or, you know, be protective of your community's health. I don't know about you guys, but that sounds like guilt tripping to me.
I will not forget, and I will never forgive you.
And then right after that, it says, help make their vaccination happen. So once someone decides on their why, help them make a commitment to get vaccinated. Once they decide on their why, what you really mean is, in the previous section, once you guilt trip them into one of those reasons why you think they should get vaccinated, that then becomes their why. Help make their vaccination happen. Okay, are you their parent, first of all? If not, why are you involved with them scheduling a vaccine appointment? Seems kind of personal. It goes on. Help make the path to vaccination shorter, easier, and less stressful for them. Offer to help your family member or friend make a vaccination appointment at a location nearby, and, if needed, go with them to the appointment. How far are we going here? Are these people children? Do they not have the capability to make their own brain up about whether or not to get vaccinated? And if so, why are they being treated like a 7-year-old that needs to be taken to their doctor's appointments?
I know you're not a little kid anymore.
Like, this is literally encouraging people to overstep on so many levels, you know. Talk to them about why they're not getting a medical procedure done. Talk to them about how this medical procedure is going to protect their family and friends and make them feel guilty for not getting it. And then, once they've made up their mind to get it because you've convinced them, because you've guilt-tripped them by whatever means possible, then overstep again by doing so much as making a vaccination appointment for them. Maybe taking them to the appointment. Maybe holding out their arm and keeping them from trying to run away from you. I mean, this is just psychotic. You're literally at a point where not only are families encouraged to turn on each other and convince each other to do something that they don't want to do, but also your friends, right? Like, who's your friend? Who's your actual friend who isn't brainwashed by mainstream media telling you that things are safe and effective when really reporting's coming out? They're analyzing it. They're realizing that the numbers aren't right, that things are being hidden, things are being brushed off, and people are getting injured. So stuff like this makes me really angry. This last poster that I wanted to look at is, it says, it's just like one page and it's like big graphics and stuff, but it says, as safe as many over-the-counter medications, you have the power to be informed. PA unites against COVID. So I'm sure everyone has heard a commercial like this by now, but do you know those commercials where it's like some drug that's been approved that is supposed to help people with psoriasis or something like that? And you wait till the end. First of all, everyone's smiling. Maybe they're running through a nice green field, having a picnic with their family, whatever the heck the situation is. But it's like slow motion, it's pretty, you know, it's filtered. And then towards the end, you have this person doing this really calm voiceover to kind of blend in with the pretty landscaping of their cinematic excellence of the commercial. And this person is saying things like, side effects include suicidal thoughts or actions, liver failure, death. Yes, it is as safe as some over-the-counter medications. Some medications in general that have been approved and yet sometimes have very, very serious side effects. And by the way, at least those medications are telling people what the side effects are, whereas this vaccine, people are trying to cover up what the side effects are, or better yet, saying they're not related at all because it's safe and effective, right? Anyway, this website that I'm talking about is pa.gov. It's Pennsylvania Unites Against COVID. The link is below. They have a lot of other posters and things to check out in their lovely resource library. So I highly encourage you to go take a look, kind of try to view it through the lens of the bigger picture of, you know, what it means to convince family, convince friends to do things that they don't want to do, medical choices that should be their own. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time.
It's Naomi Wolf of Daily Clout, and I am asking you to please, if you like the video you just saw, support us, become a member, donate. You can send checks to P.O. Box 24, Millerton, New York, 12546, or go to Daily Clout, DAILYCLOUT, become a member or donate. Thank you so much for your support. Every penny goes for paying our hardworking staff, paying hosting costs, and paying our lawyers who have been leading the fight to keep you safe and free, to keep the Constitution safe and to keep you free. Thank you so much.